The content on this channel is for informational and educational purposes only. Please contact a professional when it comes to your financial needs. As with most things in this country, there are unique systemic issues within the African American community when we do anything. Everything has to be viewed through the lens of our experiences. Take EV ownership, for example. There are some unique problems that are limiting what we buy, when we buy, how we buy, if we can buy an electric vehicle. Now, in the area of the country where I live, you're starting to see more and more of them, but there are some unique problems starting to come up because of the infrastructure. We're going to get into some of those unique problems right here, right now on the Ujamaa Network. Now, we're not going to limit this discussion to the one EV maker in this country that recently left the White House, and the comments and the things that have gone on while he was in the White House that soured not just the African American consumer, but a lot of his base customers. And those issues aside, the African American community had some really daunting problems. And we're going to talk about the first one. The most obvious one is affordability. With the end of the EV mandate right around the corner, we're looking at the end of the month, just within 30 days. The $7,500 tax rebate on electric vehicles going away is making it that much harder for many in the African American community to even comprehend spending on what is now going to be a $50,000 Model Y or a $45,000 Model 3. And if that's the vehicles that you choose to get, however, those are among the least expensive EVs in the country. Everything else, including like the Cadillac Lyric or the Escalade EQ, you're talking $60,000 to $100,000 on these vehicles. It's just way out of the price range of not just African Americans, but 70% of Americans. It's just that unaffordable. But along with the high prices, which is universal, it's the access to favorable lending that hits African Americans the hardest. And the records and the information that we have pan that out. It's not anything new. Limited access to capital, limited access or discriminatory practices within lending is another reason why you cannot break into that market the way I know it is. Now, in my community, we're starting to see a lot more EVs, particularly, Teslas. But those are used vehicles. And you can tell because of the headlights. The design changes with the new Juniper edition and the new Model 3. Um, you can tell the visual cues. So you're starting to see more used Teslas on the road, and they are now making their way into the African American communities. People love those cars, despite all the headlines that are going on there and the unique implications of driving one in the hood. Now, we keep that aside, but until we start addressing that, there's just going to be some kind of problems. There's always going to be an obstacle with cost, but it is always going to be amplified in these communities. Next major issue, of course, is the infrastructure, the charging network themselves. Just like with certain food deserts in the grocery industry, you're not going to get the type of Trader Joe experience when it comes to EV chargings in the hood. And why is that? Most of these neighborhoods are close to the destination points of where everybody going. We are in a city, and whenever you are in a city, you would seem to think, or it would be rational to think that you would have a plethora of charging options. It's just not the case. You may have to drive some ways to get to a fast charger. There are security concerns. I've already heard of instances where individuals are literally stealing the copper from the charging cables by cutting these $100,000 chargers, cutting the actual cables. I don't know why you would do that. It definitely can't be safe, but yeah, they're stealing the copper for the charging cables, which is insane to me that you would even have to have that as a consideration. But yes, it is happening. So whenever you put something in the hood, it doesn't last long because there are security concerns for that reason. Um, we're again in my neck of the woods out here. We're starting to see more fast chargers. The infrastructure is kind of catching up, and that's only because I live near an interstate, very close to an interstate. And with that said, there are multiple spots where you can charge up your EV and get onto your destination. But it is not that way the, further you get core the interior of these small towns. The infrastructure just isn't there, and you're going to have obstacles with that. And not to beat a dead horse, one of the main reasons that people are switching towards EVs in the first place is that you can charge these things at home. But can you? In the African American community, we own the least amount of houses, ourselves and the Hispanic community, well, particularly African Americans, with 56% of African Americans actually renting. And you're not having the kind of charging infrastructures in these apartment complexes and units that you would have available to you if you could go ahead and install one in your own home. And even with that, the 40 some odd percent of EV drivers, 40%, excuse me, 46% African American homeowners, are they going to foot the bill for setting up a charger at home? The units themselves range from $250 to $400 for the fast chargers or the version 2 chargers. But that is a significant upgrade to some of these older homes that just cannot handle those 40 amp or 60 amp fuses on their electrical panels. That's a incredible investment into your home's infrastructure that people just simply don't have. And again, with that EV mandate and some of the solar tax incentives going away, you have more of a problem. So again, low ownership rates means that low home ownership rates means that if you are trying to, or if you want to put in a charger at your residency, you have to have a residence first. You can't do that in an apartment complex. And the apartment complexes themselves are not in the business of spending money on infrastructure. They're in the business of getting money from you renters. And that is going to be a major obstacle going forward. There are a lot of conversations online when we want to talk about the other issues that we have, and those are those racial implications. And I don't want to get too much into that because really, when it's about the numbers, there are already enough problems going in. But when you add the comments that were made by not just Musk and the litigation that's going on with the discrimination going on or alleged to be going on at Tesla, it starts to paint a little picture. And unfortunately, any kind of press like that, especially with us, it comes back and it kind of paints the whole picture with a very broad racial brush, right? There are more EV makers than just this brand, number one. And number two, not to give any cover for his antics, but we do realize that multiple companies in every industry has the same issue. But when it comes to EVs, it's almost as if you are now a focal point of racial animosity because of the comments that you've said. And because there's such small diversity with other brands, like we will never see Chinese brand electric vehicles in this country. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And if you're talking about some of the GM vehicles, the price point for those EVs are way higher. The technology is just that far behind the Tesla that why would you consider anything else? Um, I myself was looking at that new Cadillac Optic or even the Lyric. Great range, but am I really going to try to foot a $60,000 bill for a vehicle? I doubt it. I doubt it very seriously. But we have to get a hold on this because again, we're at a crossroads in transportation right now where it has to be said. We have to try to figure out opportunities within this new emerging industry. And I'm working on it myself for myself, but I want everybody to pay particular attention to everything that is associated with this industry, not just driving those cars. Leave your questions, comments in the section below. I'll talk to you later.